couple hours anyway.
Okay, we've just started the recording. We can. Neil is here, Lee. I don't have any reviews that are done. There are 3 issues to talk about. We'll leave the last one. I think the first one we can do is we asked Neil to send us in a request for a variance for 1 pump instead of 2 pumps at Dressel, the repair for Dressel. I only got the first page of the request. I don't know, Neil, if you only sent in 1 page.
No, I sent 4 pages.
Yeah, so I just got 1, but Lee, we had agreed as a board that we were going to allow the single pump since the volume is actually so low and that the use isn't critical. If the pump stops, it's not like the business shuts down. It's not like there's people living there. And what I suggested to Neil is that he not base it on the fact that it's got a pump, so there's no water going. If we lose electricity, I mean it's got a well, so that there's no water going if there's no power.
Right. Everything comes to a stop anyway.
Yeah, but in reality, they could put a generator in there and have water coming. But
right. And just for the record, I put in that that form 9A. I did an upgrade for an expansion for Don's Auto, which is basically the same type of business. It's an automotive service center. And right down the street in Belchertown is Quabbin Service Center, who actually has 4 bays and they're on town water, so the water use is metered. And I used the quarter or their highest usage at the time, and it turned out they were using 17.5 gallons a day.
Yeah. So my
so
feeling
they weren't
is
using much water. Per bay. I'm sorry. 70 gallons a day, but 17.5 gallons per bay, which is 70 gallons total. So okay. I mean, it's not significant water usage.
So my feeling,
it's designed for 600 gallons. So it's
So my feeling, Lee, is that we did discuss this. We made a decision, and we just said to Neil that we were waiting for that request for the variance to come in, and that once he sent it in, then we would approve the granting the permit. Do you still feel that that's what we should be doing?
Yeah, I think given the data, that's appropriate. Absolutely.
Okay, Colleen. So we've just voted that we will approve the permit, granting the permit.
Okay.
The next one is for Burnett Road. Neil resubmitted a design. I couldn't read it, unfortunately. I talked to Neil before you got on, Lee and Colleen, that when he sends me PDFs, I can't read them. I can't read the writing on it, but so I couldn't review it.
Can Colleen and Lee, can you read those PDFs?
I don't know. I'll have to look at it. If you can enlarge it, I guess, but I'm not sure if they're clear. I think I was having the same issue. I don't think they're that clear, or right? Is that
that's what happens when I blow them up? There's a limit to how much I can blow them up, but on top of that, the resolution is just so terrible that when you blow it up, I can't read the writing. But the question that Neil just had is, if we in fact have already granted that permit, and this is the same exact permit that's run out in 3 years, his time ran out, that he's asking if in fact I get a copy, all he's done, and we went back and dug 2 more deep holes, so he logged those. We made a note that the lot is filled with unsuitable soil right now that has to be moved. So Neil's request is that if I verify it's the same design and application that we already approved, can we let Colleen approve this one? And that I actually,
That would make sense.
because they're
do that.
trying to move forward with it, Lee.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, that would make perfect sense to go in that direction, I think.
Okay,
Yeah.
Colleen, I can support that too. So I'll
Okay.
come in, I'll grab a hard copy,
Okay,
and then we'll just verify, because none of the calculations change, nothing has changed.
No, no,
So the third one, Lee, I don't know whether we want to make a decision on this. This is on the wine house. And I didn't complete the review on that, but Neil has proposed a tight tank, and which is designed as a 2,000 gallon tight tank, which is 2 times the daily flow. So what the issue, the 2 main issues is code specifically says that on new applications or increased flow applications, the board cannot approve a tight tank. That was the first. And the second is that the guidelines, not the guidelines, the requirements for capacity for a tight tank are not 2 times daily flow, but 5 times daily flow. So what Neil was suggesting is that we approve a septic system design and allow them to use the tank, which would be the 2,000 gallon tank, use them for a year or some time frame before the system had to go in, so that we wouldn't be approving a tight tank. But I'm given the history that we have with it, I'm thinking that the 3 of us should be talking about what we're doing here.
I agree.
What is your thought, Lee?
Yeah, I believe, that there should be a full board,
Yep.
hitting this thing around.
Yeah, I agree.
Okay.
Neil, in the event that we say we're approving the design, I'm guessing, I don't know, but I'm guessing, I know how I'm feeling right now, that I would not approve just the tank right now as a design, because it's
No,
not
I'd have to give you a full design showing the system, the correct system for the facility. We had to start somewhere, and I know you and Jim had discussed the tight tank, and I knew it definitely wasn't allowable. I mean, you can argue, well, there was a system there. It's not being used. It's definitely an upgrade from that system anyway, so that's, I guess, irrelevant. But I think designing a whole system and saying, yeah, well, give him a time period where he can use that septic tank as a tight tank, not calling it a tight tank, but just but have a full system designed and approved, saying, yeah, this is what he's going to do, and you guys have to decide how long he has to do it.
Yeah.
I mean, it's going to be a significant system with the flow there. So, I mean, I think he wants to, get a little bit of business and save up some money to do it, because I think you're in the probably $40,000 to $50,000 area for a septic. So
Lee and I agree that we're gonna hold off until the next meeting on this one. You agree that that makes sense to you?
Yep.
You probably going back, I'm guessing that it will end up using the out of season per process to allow us to do this thing, and
Yep.
so it can all get done.
Right,
But-
okay,
Okay, so that's what we have. So that's
Okay.
fine.
okay,
So
I'm gonna go
I
into,
guess that's it for you, Neil.
all right, I'm gonna go into conservation. Thank you very much and have a great night.
Okay. Okay, you
All right,
too.
bye-bye.
Thank you, Neil.
Thanks, bye. Yep, thank you, bye.
I don't see Lynn.
No, Lynn is not coming.
Okay. So let's move, since we have gone through that. We've got the recording is going. So we've got that done. Minutes for the July 30th meeting. I made a couple corrections. Lee, how are you with those minutes?
I'm good.
Colleen, I'm
Yeah.
good too, so that's approved.
Okay,
The next item, with only two of us here, there should be a straightforward meeting tonight. I bet Colleen's time sheet for August 10th. It is for the 2 weeks, it's the normal 70 hours. Lee, are you okay with that one?
Yes, I am, thank you.
I am too, Colleen, so that's approved.
okay,
The next one is turnover to our payments to the treasurer. It is, for this period, is $875. That comes from $765 for Board of Health permits, $10 for Board of Health licenses, $100 for Board of Health fees. That's it, totaling $875. Are you okay with that, Lee?
Yes,
And I am too, Colleen, so that's approved.
okay.
The next one that we have is a temporary food license. It's a 2-day license. The event is September 1st. That's what this one says. I want to see if there's a second one, but as I recall, it's 2 days.
No, it's one, right, Crystal? Crystal's on, so,
Yes, it's gonna be, so I'm cooking on August 31st, but the event is going to be on September 1st.
Okay, so the event is a 1 day, so it is it is Matthew Dave Yu Memorial Fund, Inc., at Dufresne Park. All of the details were provided. Lee, the food is actually being cooked at Early Mugs. But it's all, Crystal's got it all detailed. Do you have any issues, Lee?
no, well, since the food's being cooked at the Early Mug, is this something that Lynn, doesn't bother with, inspecting, or, I mean, if they're roasting a pig, I don't know if it comes into her
Well,
jurisdiction or not.
I would think that it's worthwhile having Lynn look at how the food is being kept on. Once you move from the prep area to the serving area, that someone
Yeah.
should just look to make sure that water isn't contaminated, right? The process that on an event that's gonna be a fairly long duration event, that to make sure that the food is kept warm properly, and it would seem to me that it would be it would be something that she would look at. It's probably not a lot different in my mind as if this were being catered. So a caterer would make the food and then it would be brought in. And that
Right.
we would have someone look at it that way.
Yeah, that makes sense too. Yeah.
So you don't have any issue with that? The
No.
only thing that I'd like Lynn to, and I'm sure she's gonna look, is just to make sure that the water is just handled in the right way, that it's not just a hose from a spigot, that we just don't want to make anybody sick. So
Right.
I'm okay with granting this permit.
Mr.
Okay.
Bombardier, can I just clarify something? We have rented the kitchen at Dufresne Park. So we're not gonna be taking it from the spigot outside. We're taking it directly from the kitchen sink that is tested monthly by
That's great.
maintenance department, just so you know.
Great. Thank you. So it's not a question anymore. You don't have to call me Mr. Bombardier.
Sorry.
So Lee, are you okay with this one?
Yes, I am. Thank you.
Okay, Colleen, we're both okay, so that's approved. So we'll give it to Lynn to do the inspection and we're all set.
Okay,
Good. So we're all done. Thanks for stopping by, Crystal. I could call you Ms. Dufresne, but
No, that's okay. Actually, I did have one question if you don't mind. So when Lynn does the inspection, is she doing it at the early mug or will I be notified? Not so much that she's doing it, but when to be there, because I am cooking it on Saturday and then storing it overnight and then reheating it per serve safe instructions on Sunday. And then I'm not gonna bring it over until about 10:30 because people are eating at 11. So that was the plan. So 11 is when we're gonna start serving the food, and it's probably gonna go till 12 or 1.
my suggestion is to work with Colleen so that
Okay.
you and Lynn get in touch with each other. My guess is that Lynn is gonna say Early Mug's already a cooking facility that she inspects and it's
Okay.
already cleared. And I'm thinking she's probably gonna say, let's go over the actual Dufresne part of it. But Lynn is really easy to work with.
Okay.
And so if somehow, Colleen, if you can make sure that Crystal and Lynn end up talking together to make it so it flows seamlessly, we'll be all set.
I'll give Lynn, Crystal's phone number so they can coordinate on when, so
Okay,
she can
perfect.
go over. Okay,
Thank
Yep.
you.
Okay, Crystal.
Have a good night.
You
you
too.
too.
Thank you.
The next one is Gerald Archambault as an installer's permit, a renewal. Judging from the fact that we've also got a certificate of compliance, I'm guessing that Mr. Archambault has installed the system at his house without this permit being acted upon.
That would be accurate. That being said, Alan Weiss did make several trips on site, and was in touch back and forth, between myself and, Mr. Archambault.
I'm at this point, I guess I drove by there today and it's buried. So I'm guessing if you're happy with it and this was a renewal, but my suggestion, and he started it from my understanding after he put in the application. And I guess from my concern would be he started it without our conditions that we might have being talked about, but it also the conditions, in my mind, would have been that we had the engineer be working with them, but it sounds like, Lee, that happened. But, so not approving this is kind of a foolish move, but do we just, for right now, without talking to Mr. Archambault, do we only approve it for that job? What are you thinking?
I think that would be a reasonable, way to go. Since his other house is in, that septic system's in. Berkeley, over the last couple of years, when he works in town, it's on his own property. So I don't know, but I'm not anticipating he's got more work coming up this year.
Okay, so Colleen, what we're saying is we're approving this only for the installation of the septic system at 68 Amherst Street.
Okay,
Is that what you said, Lee?
Yes.
And Colleen, I said that too, so that's what we've approved.
okay,
The next one is John Cole and Son Excavating, James Cole. This is a renewal of an installer's permit for this year. Are you okay with this one, Lee?
I'm not familiar that I know of with this firm. It sounds like with the renewal, they've done work in town. I just can't recall any of it.
Okay. So we should, if it's a renewal, we should. It's the only thing that I want to make sure is that, and I think you would remember it, there's someone from Belchertown that installed the system at the church on Taylor Street, or the former church, that the thing had to be ripped out. And that, I'm guessing.
oh, he wasn't from Belchertown.
Okay,
He was from, I think it was Palmer.
okay. So this is not the person.
Oh, no, this is not the person. No,
Okay.
no.
Then
for
I'm
sure.
okay with this one. Are you, Lee?
Yes, yes.
Okay, so then that's approved, Colleen.
Okay,
The next one is also a renewal for an installer's permit for Adair Construction, Rob Adair from 89 Potline Lane in Amherst. Are you good with this one, Lee?
Yes, I've done a couple different projects with these guys, no issues.
Okay, so I am also good with that, Colleen, so that's approved.
okay. Mm-hmm.
The next one we have is a certificate of compliance for the Zero residence at 129 Morgan Street. Actually, I'm the one that inspected that one. And that, oh, I know, that's when you were in the hospital, Lee.
Oh, okay.
And this is good. I did inspect it. It went in. We've got an as-built with elevations attached, and so I'm okay with this one. This is a good one.
Okay, all right. Perfect.
So that's approved, Colleen.
Okay,
The next one is another certificate of compliance, and this is this one is on West Street, at 21 West Street. This is Steve Brunetti's. This is the one across from the school, the West Street School, Lee. And
Okay, Marion Brothers installed this thing.
right.
mhm.
And this was an attached is an as-built with elevations. So it looks like it complies. So we're okay with this one, Lee?
Yes.
Okay, Colleen, I'm okay with that too, so that's approved.
Okay,
The next one is an application for a well permit, lot 3 on Bachelor Street. That's one of the Kit Aldrich's lots, right along Aldrich Lake. They've taken that from the approved design of the septic system, and it's got the well. I looked at it when I could read it, and 115 feet from the septic tank and 170 feet from the SAS. And it is the design we approve,
Okay.
and it's
I,
got, go ahead, Lee.
no, I'm sorry. I got a copy of that sent to me by Neil last night, and I had a long Title 5 this morning, so I haven't been there until I'm gonna get there tomorrow morning. But Neil sent me the copy of the print with those same dimensions that you just mentioned, the 115 and the 170. And he said that he personally was on site and staked it out. But I'm still going to go there tomorrow morning and verify.
Okay, so we're okay with the granting the permit though.
Yeah, if something doesn't make sense, I'll call Colleen in the morning. But from what I heard from Neil and the same numbers you just gave me, everything should be fine.
Okay. What he doesn't have, I'm sure the original design said that the well is cleared from to the east of any septic system. I'm sure we looked at it on the design, but this section that I've got from the design doesn't have that dimension. But typically, Neil's got it on the text saying that it's clear of any system. So you should probably, when you look, Lee, just make sure that the well the septic system to the east is more than 100 feet from this well.
I understand. Okay. Yeah, that makes sense.
So that's approved, Colleen.
okay, that's all set. All right.
The last thing I have is a temporary food license from the Church of Christ for September 14th for the Dino Fest food booth on Town Common. Are you set with that, Lee?
I am, yes.
I am too. So you'll have Lynn look at that one, Colleen?
Okay, yes, mm-hmm.
Okay.
There's also the COC for the 68 Amherst,
Oh,
which I
I don't
didn't,
know.
I probably, or is that at the bottom?
I don't know. There is one. No, there's not.
I know he just sent it, because he just came in with it after I'd sent you the
Are we
agenda.
set? Lee, are you set with that? Colleen, that we had a drawing though that was given. I saw that drawing. So that COC came in with the as-built with horizontal and vertical dimensions. So,
Oh,
Lee,
yeah.
are you all set with that repair?
On 68 Amherst,
Yeah, that's
Gary Archambault's house.
our samples. Yeah.
Yeah, I was there, I don't know what day it was last week for the final. And as we all know, he used the reserve. He put in the lengths as required by Alan. Alan looked at the outlet side of the tank. It was very deep, but he dug it up and Alan looked at it. As far as I can tell with everything that I was told and witnessed, everything should be fine on that location.
Then I'm okay with it too, Colleen, so that's approved.
Okay, okay.
The next one are Title V inspections. But 173 Bachelor Street, that was the one David Berry gave us, and it said it needed further inspection, evaluation. That's the one we've already discussed. And actually, David talked to us, and they're going to replace the tank and the SAS and keep track of the well. But I would expect, Lee, that you have to do a perk test for that.
Well, and I guess the question is, who is going to be engineering this whole thing out for Mr. Berry going forward?
Yeah.
I haven't heard anything since we discussed this at the last meeting, so I'm not sure
Okay.
how we're proceeding here.
Okay, so this one is just to accept the Title V. So,
Okay.
so I guess we're okay with that.
Okay.
Is that your thinking, Cooley?
Yeah, as long as I don't know where this firm is from, as long as they understand that they need to hire an additional firm to look over their shoulder as they're working. I don't know, who David Berry is and what they do or don't do.
Yeah.
I'm just trying to avoid, and it may not be applicable here at all, that they show up, do stuff, and at the next meeting tell us that they're all done.
Colleen, maybe, so can we accept the Title V, Lee, and then ask Colleen to get in touch with David Berry to say, hey, we
Yeah,
have to get
reasonable.
a perk test done as witnessed by the town, just to remind them
Yeah.
of that.
Okay. Perk test
So,
witnessed by the town, yep.
yeah, because Lee's right. The only thing we've got a track record is that he didn't know that we were supposed to be there when he did the Title V.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
So let's stop him from making a mistake on the next one.
Yep.
The
Okay.
next one is 68 Hammer Street as a fail. I just say that we accept that because it's already been replaced.
Correct.
Okay, the next one, I do have a question on. This one was done this is 562 East State Street, Ernest McCool, path with conditional passes. Now, when I read the Title V on that one, it says that, in fact, he had Laurie McCool coming in. It looks like we had plenty of distance under the SAS to the water table, but the tank was corroded to the point that the baffle had rotted away, and he was just putting in a plastic piece. My question, Lee, you were there. My question is, if you've got a tank that internally is rotted, and it didn't look like it was pumped. I couldn't tell. It didn't say that on the report. But if it's at the point that the concrete is rotted away on the baffle, do we just say on a tank like that that's enough evidence that says the concrete's not good enough and the tank should be replaced?
The concrete underneath the covers was really, what's the word? It was really substantial. It didn't show an excessive amount of wear, despite the
Is that
fact
right?
that the baffle was gone. So yeah, I mean, if the concrete was really falling or really thinned out, I would have obviously had some more concerns.
But where
But
the,
your
how
point
about where the pipe, Lee, how about where the inlet baffle? Did you have a chance to look at that?
Yeah, the inlet baffle was okay. The concrete was decent. I mean, you know, better than I would have anticipated
And how about where the
on that.
where the pipe went through the wall of the tank? Could you see if that was in good shape?
It looked decent, yeah.
Okay,
I
so
don't know why the baffle itself failed, but the rest of the tank looked like it was okay.
and it was a
doesn't
1,500 gallon tank.
Yes.
I ran the calculation on it. He didn't say it was 1,500, but his dimensions show that it was a 1,500. So then we're okay with this one. Should just accept
We
it.
should be we should be okay.
Okay. So moving on then to the next one, Colleen, 12 Jacqueline Circle. Actually, we can discuss two things with this. We're just waiting on this one for the for Northampton. Now Northampton said, did they say that this one should be condemned?
They are sending the order of conditions. I believe they said something about the basement maybe was condemnable, something with the basement. But yeah, they are sending their inspection and their order of corrections to the owner.
Can we, Colleen, I think you told me that they were preparing a letter of condemnation for us to sign. Did that happen?
They were doing the order of corrections. That's as far as I think that got.
Lee, do you think it's worthwhile for us to get some communication with the inspector, that the inspector could call us at our next meeting, give the inspector an appointment and talk to us about where we are with this thing? It sounds like it's going to go to court. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, we should be, in my way of thinking, we should be brought into the loop. A question for you, Colleen, please. Did our building inspector show up for this event?
Not that I'm aware.
Okay. Okay.
It sounds like Lee and I are both asking that we talk to the inspector and with his or her report. And just, they probably only have to talk to us for 10 minutes. They don't have to go anyplace. They just have to make a phone call.
Yeah.
I know they work in the daytime, but we don't.
Yeah. Sure. Yeah. I'll reach out to them and ask them if they come to the next meeting.
Okay.
Well, you can promise them that we'll put them right at the beginning of the meeting and get them in and out, and so they don't have to sit and wait.
Okay. Sure.
In fact, it might be a nice time if you talk to Lynn, if that's what's going to happen, maybe Lynn is there just to hear it. Since Lynn is our inspector, that
Okay.
we can,
Yeah, that's a good
we can
point.
get her,
Yeah.
her feeling on it.
Okay.
The next one is Ken Lane, water in the street and the driveway. Actually, after Colleen sent something out talking about Dave DeRocher, I actually talked to Dave DeRocher today. And then I went down there and Dave DeRocher, I had, and the neighbor who I can't remember his name, and he's not really a neighbor. He's a couple houses toward West Street on the opposite side of the road, but he's the guy with the biggest puddle in front of his house. But David had told me that he did the best he could with the road grading, and that he put a crown in the road, and that the water looked like it flowed when it rained, flowed down both sides of the road, and then after a very short time dissipated, and the puddles seemed to be gone. And when I got there, the neighbor said, yes, indeed, that does happen. But there was a puddle along, I would say, two lots, the fronts of two lots on the west side, that was a couple inches deep, maybe a couple feet wide, with some pretty nasty looking slime growing in it. And you could see the water from the pumping of 12 Green Lane coming out of the grass, going over the crown of the road and going from the east side to the west side. So I gave Dave DeRocher a call. I'd only talked to him a couple minutes prior, half an hour prior, and he came over and he looked, and we did determine that the pumping was behaving very differently than the rain, and that the bottom line is, it looks like the issue is limited to the discharge from the pump. There are probably other houses on that east side that already go into the catch basin. But it looks like the solution to this problem is that, and it needs to be solved, is that a pipe go directly from 12 all the way to the catch basin. And Dave told me that the town, he does not want the town responsible for it. But we did agree that the logical way is to connect the pipe directly to the sump pump and 12. So Dave said that he would allow the pipe to be put in on town property, put in like a polyethylene pipe, and Dave said that he would contact Mr. Nugent, I think, who puts in sprinkler systems, and see if he can get a price to run a plastic line, a polyethylene line, not very deep in the ground, that goes from the house all the way to the catch basin. So it looks like that is the absolute most logical solution. The other houses look like they don't need it, and it looks like if you get that pumped water out of there, the road is going to be acceptable. So I expect Dave DeRocher to be getting back to us. Who pays for it? Certainly Dave is saying, I would like the town not to be paying for it, and that the town not be responsible for it, but that he would allow it to avoid easements, and that he would allow it to be put in. So the simplest way to handle it certainly would be for the owner of 12 Kid Lane to just take responsibility and get that pipe right down to the road, and be the owner of the down to the not the road, to the catch basin, and just get it done. But let's see what has to be done to have that happen. So that's what I had. You have any issues, Lee, Any questions? By the way, it was still
And Ken,
flowing pretty well right today.
yeah, after the rain that we got, I'm sure.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know if, or how it's gonna, the whole street seems to be up in arms about most everything that one neighbor or the other neighbor does, obviously on that street. Which it's not necessarily Dave DeRozier's battle or, you know, the town, but it's heading that way. And you know, there's different septic systems that may or may not be of any value, and there's water, and it seems that as much work as everyone does, it's not enough, or it's not good enough for somebody. It's confusing.
When we told the owner of 12 Ken Lane to do this, to move the discharge from the back to the front, we did in fact know that we were going to put this water problem in front of everybody. It was going to, instead of being in the back, just a circle going from her backyard to her basement to her backyard to the basement. And then ultimately the water flows by her house anyways. It's just, she's got a bathtub in the middle of it. But as I explained to the people, and it turns out kind of a little bit of humor, as we were getting ready to leave, one cruiser pulled up, and then right after the second cruiser pulled up, right after or just before one of the other neighbors came out. I said, wow, this is we've got quite a little meeting occurring here. And it turns out that one of the neighbors by accident had, I guess, sat on their phone and dialed 911.
Oh.
So that's why we have the police there. And it turns out you can't just say incorrectly. You just can't say once they get a 911 call, they really have to do at least an investigation to the point that they know it's not really a 911 call. They don't know that the person in the house didn't dial 911 because there was a problem in the house, that something was happening. So they did have to do that investigation and make sure that it was just a mistake. But as I explained, if you look at that corner, that northeast corner of that street, and to some extent, even across the street, that house, that 12, I explained to him how much trouble pumping out of the ground does when we were forced to put town water on Morgan Street in South Hadley. I mean, in Granby, when the water came from South Hadley. But when that resident had that well that he put in his property to water his lawn, that dropping the water table caused the leachate from the landfill to cross Stony Brook. And I said, what happens is you have this house, this 12 Ken Lane, that drops the water table around there, and what it really does is it drops it going in all directions. So anybody that's a house away gets the benefit of this because their basements no longer get flooded because this person's pumping the water table down. So it may not be just a single person's problem. If that person let it go, if that house were to disappear, then you might have the house across the street being flooded, the house next door on both sides being flooded. So this may not be just one person's problem.
Right, but that, right, I mean, that's actually a good explanation, but that one person who's pumping the water, you're right, is benefiting everybody, but they don't see it that way. I'm guessing
Right.
that's what's going on. They see
Right.
what's on the surface and no concept of really what's taking place 4, 6, 8 feet underground.
Right.
Yeah,
So,
yeah.
so in this case, I guess what Dave is gonna do is get a price and maybe we go back to Chris Martin and say, look at what this is benefiting a community. It's not just benefiting a person, and maybe the town should grab a hold of the pipe and say, you know, we'll put it in or pay to do something, but somehow or other help out. But I guess the first step, well, the first step is that when Dave and I looked at it, that it is obvious, it is, if you dealt with this one problem and solved it, the neighborhood problem is going to be solved, and that the answer really is to get it so the water goes into the catch basin. Because we said, you know, what you really could do if you wanted, you could let the stuff go back into the ground in their front yard and you know, build a big leaching catch basin and put it back into the ground and raise the water table in the front and let it go across the street to the brook. But for sure, but you can be, well, relatively certain that the house to the west, once you put all that water back in the ground, the house from the west is gonna get a flooded basin. So.
Oh, without, yeah, absolutely, absolutely.
Going right through that lot to get to the brook. So,
Sure.
so I think,
Yeah.
I guess Dave's suggestion is find out how much it costs, and then let's figure out what we want to do.
Yep. 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 Yeah.
Now-
I mean, yeah. Hopefully, it's something. The town has something squirreled aside for that and can clean this thing up, and the entire street will benefit many, many times over from this project.
That's right. That's right.
Yeah.
So let's hope that it moves in a smooth direction and we get this thing solved. Next question that I asked Colleen to put on that actually involves Lynn. And when Lynn does an inspection, and I asked Colleen because it was housing, but I guess it really doesn't matter that it's housing or restaurant. Are we in a position, Lee, that unless we don't want to decide, the two of us decide, and I could accept that we want to let Lynn write the letter of, you know, her orders as a result of her inspection? Or do we want to say she can't do that and the Board of Health has to write those orders?
Well,
Maybe.
my immediate sense is that she is in a unique position to be working in Holyoke, as we know, and Granby, with the food codes on a regular basis. And that being said, my sense is that she will recognize and know, without us scurrying around digging up our code books, what's going on and what violations are being affected and what needs to be done to fix them. That's my sense. I mean, I can understand we can certainly wait and throw this at Bill as well so the whole board gets onto it. But my immediate sense is that her or someone in her capacity is gonna know right off the bat or pretty quickly what's wrong and how to fix it. Whereas that's not our expertise.
Feel exactly the same way. Exactly the same way. Is that she is dealing with this on a routine basis where we're not. But I guess I believe that Bill is going to feel exactly the same way too. However, what does it hurt to I guess the first one for this one, my suggestion is rather than let the violation sit for a couple weeks, that we have Colleen sign the notice of violation, or have somebody sign the notice of violation that's from the Board of Health for right now.
Yeah,
And
I
that
did
we-
type it up. I did type it up for her recent inspection that she did. And she reviewed it and she signed it. And I said, I'll hold on to it until, you, but I'll, if you say I can, then I'll send it out. Yeah.
Okay.
What I would do is I would like to wait for for Bill as well. So Lee, could you support our authorizing Colleen to sign our names as well? And this, at least then it becomes a Board of Health document for this time. And then we talk to put this on the agenda for this meeting, Colleen, so that Bill's on board, because we always work. We don't ever work on a vote of 2-1. We always work on 3-0.
Yep.
So could you support that, Lee, that Colleen signs yours in my name?
Sense.
Okay. So Colleen, that's what we
Yeah.
decide. So you sign Lee's in my name to
Okay.
it, and then we'll put it on our next agenda.
Okay. So Lynn's
And just
signature's
so-
on there and I'll just add yours, both of
Right.
yours. Okay.
And when you're talking to Lynn,
Yep.
just tell Lynn that Lee and I fully agree that it should be just Lynn that does that, but that we want to have all 3 members discuss it.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay. The next is, and I didn't read this one. Colleen sent out the temporary event application for special event venues. I guess since we have the regulations saying that they need a permit, then we need to at least review that thing. Colleen's in a spot right now that she's gonna have to, if someone gets in touch with her, she's gotta give a permit, right?
You gotta have an application and a permit. Yeah.
Or an application and a,
Yeah, that's why I sent you the application to see if that's what you wanted, because let me ask you, so if somebody's holding an event and they need to have this temporary event license, but also they're having food trucks, those food trucks still have to get their mobile licenses through the town,
Right.
correct?
Mhm.
Right, so I kind of just took off some of the other food thing questions because that would be on the mobile application and put on the general questions, but what else? I don't know. I did talk about the toilet facilities and the trash removal. I just didn't know if there was other things you wanted on this.
we should be talking about water and hot water source for cleaning.
The water supply, okay, will your vendors be hooked up to a water supply? I've got that.
And will the event have it? Or they may not have vendors. They may have caterers that maybe what happens is they have to just have an item that said, what is the water supply? And then we can then check on it.
Okay.
If we're requiring the permit, Lee, you would think we have to have an application, at least what happens if it happens in the next 2 weeks? We have to have, maybe you can put on it, Colleen, that this is the temporary form
Mm-hmm.
so that they know it's going to be changed, because they could end up saying the next time, get this form and then say, hey, you asked for something different this time.
Yep. Okay.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Yeah, I was gonna send an application with the letter, and you want this to go to, the two, like, well, the place on Amherst Street and the place on Harris Street, but yes or no on Winehouse?
My suggestion would be to ask that question at the next meeting, not to send it out to the Winehouse right now, and
Yep.
to ask for the three of us. That, in my mind, that the Winehouse is different. It's a physical facility. But what we should talk about. Lee, what are you thinking?
No, I'm on the same page. With that comment. Oh, go ahead, Colleen, please.
No, I was gonna say that I'm hung up, Lee, because it looks like the Winehouse is trying to be in the middle of getting the best of both worlds. That it's, oh, it's a physical building, it's not one of these temporary venue thing, it's a permanent venue. Yet we're saying, yeah, but we're letting you have porta potties, and we're letting you have you know food trucks come in, and instead of saying, you're either here or not there. You're either a temporary thing and you need these inspections, or you're a permanent thing and you need to behave like a permanent thing.
Well, I mean, that's really a good point. Anytime they have a food truck come in, then yeah, the fee has to be paid, and that truck or plural has to be checked out by Lynn.
So
it's simply good. It's good practice to keep everybody sharp at all times and on the right page of doing a clean presentation with the proper standards in place at all times, not to become complacent.
The person could say, well, wait a second, my food truck is all set up and it's been inspected. But if you do that, then then that food truck has to be then saying, yeah, but I have toilets and I have hand washing and I've got water. And then otherwise they say, oh, no, I'm hooked up to this permanent place. It's already got toilets and it's already got a proper source of water. And this place say, whoa, we just moved from we don't really have any toilets, and we don't really have a source of water, and you're not a public water supply. You're saying, oh, I've got food trucks coming in, but you're serving ice to people, and it's again, you're in between saying, instead of complying with the regulations of both, you're trying to comply with the regulations of neither. And the only thing that my suggestion for tonight, and answering Colleen's question, Lee, is once again, as with the toilets, can we just, we've waited this long, can we wait 2 more weeks before we make that decision and let Colleen send the notice out to the 2 places that are clearly event places, and wait till 2 weeks from now to make a decision on the other?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, 2 weeks is, it's been whatever, 8, 9 months, so yes.
Yeah.
But again, the point is valid that, regardless of how many food trucks are repeat visitors, doesn't circumvent, the potential shortcuts, the potential garden hose to get water, etc.
Right.
So there's a lot at stake for everybody, and we should be making everyone in town, and I mean everyone, the Wine House, the place on Amherst Street, the place on Harris Mountain, everybody's got to toe the mark every single time.
Yeah.
And if they can't, then they shouldn't be doing it.
Yeah, if you end up getting, 150 people sick, or someone dies, it's not going to be, it's certainly not funny, for sure. And the people in town, whether they're residents of town or coming through the town to go to one of these events, I think expect the Board of Health to make sure that they're safe at these events.
Oh, exactly. I mean, you go to a local fair, you go to the Big E, you go to wherever you go, you anticipate that these things have been done, thought through, and have been taken care of long before you purchase your ticket to enter the event.
Yeah. So,
And
Colleen, this
should be
goes
no
on.
different.
So the thing that we've got to make sure, Lee, you and me and Bill, is that the application is the right application. Then we've got to have something that we're going to have to go over with Lynn to be saying, what are you going to be doing to inspect? What are her standards when she looks at one of these things? So we need to look at that application, and we should, Colleen, maybe you could send a note out to us again, to all 3 of us, saying not only review the application, review what you would expect Lynn to be going through, and maybe the questions that you have for Lynn to be asking need to be on that application, so that they don't get surprised when Lynn goes there. So maybe that on the application it says who's going to pick up the trash, what kind of containers are the trash going into, when is the trash going to be picked up, where is it going to be taken to? Is it going to be recycled, source separated in terms of recycling? Whatever, and we look at food waste and non-food waste. I don't have to believe, but I'm guessing that there must be on these things that how many events like that would be held if they're not serving alcohol?
Yeah, that's for sure.
Now I went to one a couple weeks ago, and what happened is that it was a wedding, and the alcohol was all free. Now, I'm guessing that's how they get around it, that someone bought the couple doing the wedding, bought the alcohol and gave it to their guests. They had people in there making drinks, but maybe that's how you get around it, that it's not being sold. But
Interesting.
someone ought to not even be asking in terms of safety. Is there anybody that we ought to be talking, ask the police something is, do they care if someone, let's say there's a wedding and someone's getting drunk, you don't have any control. You're not selling alcohol. You're giving alcohol away, but it's not really you're giving it to someone in your house. It's a party. And now when people get in their car and drive home, do the police want to have any input on that?
I would anticipate they would, especially if the unthinkable occurs and there is a minor fender bender, or God forbid something more than that, from a certain address. Then the lawyers are gonna come out.
And certainly the neighbors on whatever street you're on be saying, gee, I don't want one of my kids to be riding my bike and having someone come down the street that's been drinking all morning or whatever. But again, if we stretch it a little bit and say that that's part of health and public safety, we definitely ought to get the police and ask them what they think about these events. I'll bet if you talk to Kevin would be saying, oh yeah, we have this is an issue with 10 different communities across the state with these events, and here's how they handle it. Maybe Kevin says, oh yeah, well the way they do it is there's a cop there. So, but I don't know.
Yeah, there is, I don't know the numbers or the laws, but I know that your average bartender should or does know that they can't, as the saying used to go, they can't drink your wallet dry for the sake of gains, financial gains. And this wouldn't be necessarily financial gain, but there's got to be some co-responsibility in giving something which would be way beyond their capacity and turning them loose to figure out how they're going to get home on their own.
Yeah, so I think we ought to stretch this out a little bit. We can look at what clearly Board of Health, Colleen, you have us say, what do we want Lynn to be inspecting? But for sure, you could give Kevin a call and ask him and say, if this is happening, what is his thought? Does he have any people he can reach out for and say, what do other communities deal with? How do they keep their roads safe? So we could do that for sure for next meeting.
So do you want me to just hold on this till you get that
Oh,
all?
if Lee, if you can support that, since we've got the permit requirement, and to me, it's clear to, I don't even know what the planning board did for the one on Howard Street, but let's assume that they approved it. Then both Harris Street and Amherst Street, and just let them know that there's an application, a permit, and an application.
Okay,
so that they don't start off without it. And
Yeah.
then we'll, Lee, can you support not sending that to Winehouse this week and wait till next week, the next meeting to decide on that one?
Oh, for sure, yes.
Okay.
okay,
We're lucky there's no permit that's required. If it's happening very quickly, someone's gonna say, gee, I already had an event planned for 2 weeks ago and you came up with this thing that says it cost me $400 because it's less than 30 days. We might end up, until the 30-day time comes from now, that it's just a $200 one for the.
Yeah, for the interim,
Until,
yeah.
yeah, until
Mhm.
the first 30 days get through.
yeah,
You know, maybe we, in fact, maybe to avoid it, say we're notifying you that this is the fee, but starting 30 days from now, if you don't give us a notice of 30 days, it's $200 or $400.
yeah, yeah. Yep. Gotcha.
Make it so it's clear to them. Say events up to 30 days, whatever the day is that you send it out. Say
Yeah.
it's a $200 fee for that, for those first 30 days. And any events that are after that,
After,
if you
yeah.
have less than a 30-day notice, it's a $400 fee. That gets us started so that everybody doesn't scream and say that we're charging them $400 for a brand new rule.
Yeah,
So it's a
Right,
one-time
right.
thing that we just have to get through.
yeah, that's fair. That's only fair, yeah.
Okay, our next. I guess the Board of Health regulations we're not going to be able to do without Bill. Did you ever hear anything back from Dollar General on the forebay?
Nope, I emailed the district manager and said board is planning on withholding the tobacco permit. If we don't hear from him, I haven't heard from him. I haven't heard anything. I heard nothing at all. Now I'm due to send out, well, I was gonna send them probably this week, the tobacco applications, because those tobacco licenses will be expiring the end of September, so I was gonna give them a good month and a half
Yeah.
notice, so
Yeah.
I'll be sending
You
those
should do
out.
that. You should do that, and hopefully Dollar General responds in a way that we don't have to do that.
Yeah. Mhm,
Mhm.
mhm. So they're doing the renovation at Dunkin' Donuts. It's only gonna take them 2 weeks. They're closed this week and next week. They're arranging with Lynn for Lynn to go in and do, she's gotta get in touch with the owner to go in and do an inspection before they open up. They're just doing, they're doing plumbing and the electrical again, but just kind of like a facelift on the cabinets and things like that.
Okay. What else do we have? If we don't have anything, I'm gonna suggest that we end it without Bill.
That was it.
Lee, do you have anything?
I'm pretty good right now, thank you.
Okay. Then we'll call it an early night then without Bill. So good night, everybody.
Okay, good night.
Okay, good night, folks.
All right.
Thank you.